like a snowflake. I'm just pasted in white on the back.
Hey guys! A lot of you don't know what major to choose or what you're interested in or whatever. So we're going to talk about how we chose our majors and what our majors are and the requirements and stuff like that.
So, I'm technically a history major with a focus on secondary education, which is a lot of words to basically say I want to be a high school history teacher. And I came to the idea of that major pretty much after just liking history class in high school, and I don't know, I had a really good history teacher and he was really cool, and so he kind of inspired me to become one myself.
And I'm a psychology major with a concentration in mental health, and there's two routes to go with psychology. You can do like a BA or a BS, and I'm doing a BA, which is more for counseling and things of that nature. And BS is for bullshit. Just kidding. It's for research in psychology, and you do a ton of field studies and all that kind of stuff. I don't like that stuff. But how I chose my major was I've always changed what I wanted to be until freshman year of high school. And after that, I don't really know how I chose it, honestly. I just thought it was interesting, and I really liked helping people, and it was just very interesting to me how we can learn about why people do the things they do and how they do it, how people interact with each other, things like that. So here I am, and I eventually plan to become a high school guidance counselor.
Yeah, so we both want to work in a high school.
And honestly, I know a lot of people say, like, you don't need to worry about what you want to be, and you don't need to change, or you don't need to pick your major or anything, but it's very extremely helpful if you pick your major before you go to college.
Yeah, it can, especially like at a liberal arts college like Southern, where you have to get a whole bunch of tier classes done that are not even part of your major, like art classes and whatnot. If you switch your major after like the first or second semester, some of those tier classes might not transfer over to that next major, and so then you'll have to take more and you'll be setting yourself further and further back, and then you'll be in college for longer. And so you don't have to pick your major right away, but if you want to graduate on time, it really is helpful to have your major picked before you get here, or at least pick it during your first semester.
Something you need to consider before choosing a major is your work ethics, because if you want to become a bio major, but you don't have the drive to be a bio major, or you don't, want to do a lot of work or put a lot of hours into it, you are not going to be a successful bio major. Some majors are easier than others, but I really think it's based on what you're interested in, because obviously I completely hate history. So a history major for me would be completely terrible and very hard, whereas Chase is a history major and it's very easy and fun for him. And it's like the same way around. It's the same vice versa.
Vice
Oh my god, shut up! It's the same thing the other way around, because Chase doesn't know that much about psychology, maybe he doesn't like it as much, so psychology would be harder than his history degree.
There's also certain requirements for each major. You have to maintain a certain GPA for every major. A lot of them are, well, they vary kind of a lot. I think communication disorders and nursing, you have to have a 3.0 GPA, maintain that for your entire time in the major, whereas for my major, history, you only have to maintain a 2.4, I believe, which is a lot easier. And so some majors hold you to less of an academic standard.
Yeah, for me, psychology, to be accepted into the major is a 2.7, which isn't that bad.
There are also different requirements for certain majors, like the fact that I have an education focus in my major means that I have to go through student teaching and observation hours where I have to go to like high schools or middle schools and observe a teacher and even teach a class. I'm sure you all know what student teaching is. But you might not you might not get accepted as a student teacher for those, and so it could be really hard if you don't get accepted to a student teaching position when you need to. It could set you back an entire semester, and so that's another thing to look out for. Yep. I'm still here.
Sometimes I know it's not desirable, but if you're really good at a certain subject, even though you don't like it, it might be smart to major in that subject, only because you'd be very successful in it, and in another field you might not be so great in. But the choice is entirely up to you, and you can choose whatever major you want. Just keep in mind the money, the time it's going to take, and the dedication you have to put into majoring in that subject. I mean, this is something you're gonna have to work in for the rest of your life, so make it count.
Yeah. The decision is, it may seem like when you first get to college you could do anything, but the decision you make when you finally make it is a really big one. So make sure you choose carefully and you don't just jump into a certain major and go, you know what, I'll just apply to this major and just try it out. And if I don't like philosophy, then I'll give something else a try, because you're going to end up sinking thousands and thousands of dollars into a major that you don't even care about really. You just wanted to give it a shot.
The same thing goes for colleges too. When you're picking a college, I mean, there's so many colleges to choose from, but just keep in mind that you want a decent education, but you don't want to spend $1 million getting that education. You are going to have to pay that back, and you're going to have to think about what your major is going to give you money-wise after you graduate so that you can pay those debts off. And part of the reason why we chose Southern is because it is a state college, so it doesn't cost as much as other colleges do, but you still get a pretty decent degree. So if you need any help picking your majors, or any questions about majors, any questions about colleges and how you should pick them or how you should go about pursuing them, leave a comment below, because we would love to help you out. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.